Good evening, hello and welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Anusha Soni. The now suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh has been apprehended by the police authorities under the preventive detention law. The stringent law is often used against terrorists, hardened criminals and smugglers. It's used for national security purposes, public order purposes. In fact, the Supreme Court had cautioned against the use of this law recklessly, pointing to the scant avenues for bail or any kind of relief for the accused. While what may have been done to Raja may be proportionate or disproportionate, there's still no action that has been taken against various local leaders of the Congress and the AIMIM for using the terror slogan, Sar Tan Se Juda. Today, Syed Kashif, a little-known activist, has been arrested. He was arrested and eventually granted bail because police once again did not follow the due process of CRPC. While the action is still awaited on many other political leaders, who is fueling fire in this communal pot? And is the law being equally applied to all? Our top focus.
Arrested, released on bail and re-arrested, all in a matter of 48 hours. Suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh, the man who reignited the Prophet row, was back in police custody. Hours after releasing a new video on what he called a communal atmosphere in Hyderabad.
मुस्लिम्स वोट बैंक का इन्होंने एक खेल खेला है, क्योंकि अगर इसका कार्यक्रम रद्द होगा तो बीजेपी की फायदा होगा, अगर इसका कार्यक्रम सक्सेस होगा तो टीआरएस को और एमआईएम को फायदा होगा.
Raja Singh was booked under the Preventive Detention Act and taken to the Cherlapalli Central Jail.
Raja Singh has been booked under the Prevention of Dangerous Activities Act, which is very important to note. So what does this mean? PD Act is booked against those who are considered quote-unquote habitual offenders. And in this case, the Hyderabad police says that Raja Singh has been booked in over 101 cases since 2004. And 18 of these cases are communal in nature.
Hyderabad has been tense for the last 3 days. Raja Singh effigies have been burnt. Sar Tan Se Juda slogans have been raised. And late last night, protesters pelted stones, leading to police lathi charging the mob. Then AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi sparked a storm by claiming that 90 protesters were released on his intervention. Following the release, Owaisi was purportedly heard talking to one of the protesters.
आपका बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया, जज़ाकल्लाह.
जाओ 1:30 बजे आज सुबह 1:30 बजे अब जाओ फिर घर में परेशान होंगे
जी
इंशाल्लाह मुजफ्फर समझ लिया कि आप घर पे छोड़ देंगे.
Meanwhile, no action has been taken against the two AIMIM corporators who proudly chanted Sar Tan Se Juda. Sar Tan Se Juda, Sar Tan Se Juda. Or the Congress leader who openly called on Muslims to beat up Raja Singh.
देखा गाड़ी रोक के मारो उसको.
So why the selective action against hate?
Well, joining us on the broadcast is Talasani Saikiran, a TRS leader, Ratan Sharda, who's an RSS researcher and political analyst, Kalimul Hafiz from the AIMIM will also be with us on the broadcast in just some time from now. P. Nirup Reddy, who's a lawyer, is also with us. Talasani Saikiran, first a question to you. Why is it that no action has been taken against various leaders, and I'm specifically talking about leaders of the AIMIM, who have been caught on camera raising inflammatory slogans? You took a very stern action against the erstwhile BJP MLA who is now suspended from the party, rightly so perhaps, but what about others?
I've been following the CNN News 18 from the past 1 hour. I think there is a biased opinion which is coming out. We have to compare apple with apple, I think so. So Mr. Raja Singh, who is a member of Legislative Assembly member, and he's a floor leader for the BJP, whereas the other side we are talking about some unknown person or maybe some corporator, I don't understand. For the Telangana government, the government's law and order has been intact from the time Telangana KCR sir has been taken over the government. For that fact, in this April, during the Ramzan season, we have arrested an MIM corporator named Mohammed Ghausuddin during Ramzan season for making a derogatory comments towards a policeman. So there is nobody who will be spared who tries to damage the complete big image of the Hyderabad, which is a global city.
Sir,
which is going towards a global city.
You alleged a bias in our coverage. I deny that. And I will deny that with a simple question to you. Will the culpability of a particular person be decided on the basis of whether they are an MLA or a corporator? Is that even a tenable argument in law or in morality?
No, that is what not I meant. I meant that he had 101 criminal cases on him, out of which 18 are of hate speeches, and we are talking about somebody who we don't even know and we don't recognize in Hyderabad. So, and definitely that person is also taken into custody 100%. And just now I saw that MIM spokesperson also said that from the party side also they will be taking action. So I don't think there is anybody who will be spared in this scenario right now.
No, it's good that you're saying nobody will be spared. And in fact, for the last 2 days, we have had the spokesperson from your party. And each time I've raked up this issue as an anchor, they have said that, please be patient, we are going to take some action. But no action has really come in. Whether somebody is from AIMIM or the Congress party or from your own party or from the BJP, how does it matter? They're disturbing the law and order. They're disturbing the image of Hyderabad. The Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb that everybody talks about. Take action. These are people who are caught on camera.
See, Telangana has been a role model in law and order taking actions. We have seen Nayum encounter and you have seen Disha's case also. This Telangana, and recently also in the last month, we have gone the biggest command control in India. Law and order is very strict in Hyderabad because this is a cosmopolitan city. We are neighbors with Muslims, we are neighbors with Punjabis, we are neighbors with a lot of people here. Hyderabad is a very peaceful city. And in a saddening, awakening thing, what happened from the past 2 days, it is so saddening being a Hyderabadi that we have to face a curfew after 8 years. And the persons who are really directly, who have made that derogatory marks are Raja Singh himself, who is a member of Legislative Assembly. And how can that be even tolerated? I don't understand.
All right.
And we are talking about a great city who has been performing well in all aspects, including the best global companies are also having the biggest campus in Hyderabad.
No, before I go to my other guests, my one more question to you, because you've not answered my question. You speak about the wonderful culture of Telangana, Hyderabad, and yes, all Indians celebrate that culture. That is irrespective of what is happening right now. These are untoward instances. Raja Singh, what he said is condemnable and criminal. You've taken action against him. But people who use these comments, come out on the streets, do dharna, take law and order into their own hands, chant terror slogans, what are you going to do against them?
You have to follow the story what happened. After Raja Singh was released on a bail, there was an allegation which started. And we are clearly mentioning that nobody will be spared who damages or tarnishes the image of Hyderabad. It doesn't matter about any party. And our chief minister has mentioned that if a complaint comes on my son or daughter also, they will be taken action. So it is a very strict and stern government which is in Telangana. So we need not worry about if it is an MIM party.
You have not answered my question. Kaleemul Hafiz साहब is also with us on the broadcast. Sir, बहुत शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए. एक सीधा सवाल है जो मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ. बहुत सारे AIMIM के कॉर्पोरेटर हैं जिनको वीडियो पर देखा गया. कल रात को भी हमने वो बहुत सारे वीडियोस चलाए थे. नजरीन सुल्ताना है, जफर खान है जो उस समय कॉर्पोरेटर नहीं है लेकिन लीडर हैं. ये लोग एक बहुत कंडेमनेबल स्लोगन बार बार चिल्ला रहे हैं सड़कों पर. ये ऐसा स्लोगन है जिसको आपके पार्टी के नेता ने भी बोला है कि ये सही नहीं है और हम इसकी निंदा करते हैं. आपकी पार्टी इन नेताओं के खिलाफ, इन कॉर्पोरेटर के खिलाफ कोई भी एक्शन अभी तक क्यों नहीं ले पाई?
देखिए मैडम, मुद्दे की सीवियरिटी समझिए
जी.
ये जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने एक सीरीज बनाई हुई है, नूपुर से शुरू हुई, फिर वो नवीन जिंदल, फिर वो हैदराबाद राजस्थान का एक MLA, उसके बाद टी राजा सिंह, और करने के बाद भारतीय जनता पार्टी जो हैदराबाद का अमन व अमान को खत्म करके वहां पे चाहती थी कि वहां पे दंगे भड़क जाएं, सिर्फ एक उपचुनाव की खातिर, क्योंकि उनके पदयात्रा में उनको रेस्पॉन्स नहीं मिल रहा है. दूसरा जो उनका प्रदेश अध्यक्ष है बंडी, वो एक उनका वीडियो वायरल हो रहा है जिसमें वो कह रहे हैं कि मुझे हैदराबाद जाना है, कम्युनल राइट करा. तो ये जो पूरा मंसूबा था और जिस अंदाज में, यानी नूपुर का भी और 100 टाइम इंटेंसिटी बढ़ा दी है उस बुरे अंदाज में वो बकवास की, तो जो लोगों का गम गुस्सा था वो सब सड़कों पर आ गए. औरतें, बच्चे, जवान, बुढ़े सब आ गए. चूंकि मुसलमान जो है वो अपनी जानों से ज्यादा अपने नबी पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की जात गिरामी से मोहब्बत करता है. किसी हाल में उनका वो बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगा उनके शान में गुस्ताखी. वो न सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान का, पूरी दुनिया का 200 करोड़ मुसलमान उससे जुड़ा हुआ है. दूसरी बात ये कि अब उसमें जिन्होंने नारे लगाए, नारे के लिए हमने पहले दिन से, हमारे जो राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हैं उन्होंने कहा कि हम इस तरह के नारों को कंडेम करते हैं, मजम्मत करते हैं, हम सपोर्ट नहीं करते और उनके खिलाफ कानून अपना काम करेगा। और कई हमारे कारपोरेटर इसमें डिटेन भी हुए हैं।
नहीं,
अब कानून
कलीमुल
अपना
साहब
काम
फिर
कर
से
रहा है,
अपना
लेकिन
सवाल
अगर ये
दोहराऊंगी।
मीडिया
बहुत सारी
ये-
बातें हैं जो मैं आपसे बोलना चाहती हूँ।
नहीं।
फिरोज खान ऑफ द कांग्रेस पार्टी इज ऑल्सो जॉइनिंग अस ऑन द ब्रॉडकास्ट। एक सवाल फिर से दोहराऊंगी और पूरी इज्जत के साथ, आपकी पार्टी ने ऐसे कॉर्पोरेटर्स के खिलाफ क्या एक्शन लिया है? आप प्रॉफिट के बारे में बोल रहे हैं कि उनकी बेइज्जती या उनके खिलाफ कोई भी गलत शब्द कोई बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगा। मुझे नहीं लगता हिंदुस्तान में इसका कोई भी समर्थन करता है। वो तो बात
करते हैं लोग,
वो तो
करते
बात
हैं।
नहीं, कम से कम सभ्य
उसको
समाज
हीरो
में
की तरफ से
कम से कम
टेक्निकल
सभ्य
ग्राउंड
समाज में इस तरह के विचारों के लिए कोई जगह नहीं है। मैं ये कह सकती हूँ। मैं आपसे एक सवाल पूछ रही हूँ, आपके कॉर्पोरेटर्स के खिलाफ आप क्या एक्शन लेंगे?
देखिए मैडम, हम भारतीय जनता पार्टी की तरह नहीं है कि देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो, देश देश कहने के बाद हम राज्य मंत्री से केंद्रीय मंत्री बना दें। हम वो लोग नहीं है। हम चाहते हैं कि हैदराबाद में कानून की बालादस्ती है, कानून अपना काम करेगा। जिस आदमी ने जो गलती की होगी कानून के नजर में उसको उसकी सजा मिलेगी।
मगर पार्टी
हम
कोई
उसके
एक्शन
बीच में नहीं आएंगे। जी,
पार्टी
हम-
कोई एक्शन नहीं
पार्टी से ज्यादा बड़ी चीज कानून है।
हाँ, लेकिन पार्टी भी इंपॉर्टेंट होती है। अगर बीजेपी सस्पेंड नहीं करती अपने एमएलए को, तो हम बीजेपी को भी क्रिटिसाइज करते हैं।
सस्पेंशन क्या चीज है?
सर, पब्लिक में एक मैसेज भी जाता है ना, पब्लिक में एक मैसेज भी जाता है। फिरोज खान ऑफ द कांग्रेस पार्टी इज आल्सो विद अस ऑन द ब्रॉडकास्ट। फिरोज जी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए। 2 दिन पहले मेरी आपसे बात हुई थी, इसी ब्रॉडकास्ट पर हुई थी, और तब आपने कहा था कि राजा सिंह कहीं भी दिखे तो मैं हर मुसलमान को कहता हूं कि उसे पकड़ के मारे। आप अभी भी उसी बयान पर बने हुए हैं?
जी हाँ, बेशक। नहीं, हम दो बात हम बोल रहे थे। या तो उसको पीडी एक्ट में भेजा दो या हम उसको मारेंगे। तो तेलंगाना की गवर्नमेंट और कमिश्नर ऑफ पुलिस, डीजीपी ऑफ तेलंगाना बेहतरीन काम करे हैं और ये एक कॉमन आदमी और एक हर एक हिंदुस्तानी की जीत है। तो हम इसको वेलकम करते, क्योंकि ये चीज़ बहुत आगे जाने वाली थी और हंगामा होने वाला था तेलंगाना हैदराबाद के अंदर। हमको मालूम, क्योंकि वहाँ का मुसलमान इतना जज्बाती हो चुका था ये जुमलों की तरफ से, क्योंकि राजा सिंह कभी भी एक हैबिचुएटेड अफेंडर है। ये 20 साल से ये हरकत कर रहा। तो इस बात से हमको अंदाज़ा हो गया कि ये जो राजा सिंह की प्लानिंग थी कि एक कम्युनल वायलेंस होना, क्योंकि दंगे कराए नहीं जाते, दंगे ऑर्गेनाइज कराए जाते। और राजा सिंह का जो मंसूबा था, ये बात को हम समझ चुके थे कि अगर से ये बात को हम नहीं थमाएंगे तो ये बात बहुत आगे बढ़ जाएंगी और हिंदू मुसलमान क्लासेस में ये
आप खुद ही कह रहे हैं कि पूरी जो परिस्थिति
सुनिए
वो इतनी संजीदा हो चुकी थी, कहीं ना कहीं धर्म की भावनाओं को आहत किया गया था, मुसलमानों को बहुत बुरा लगा। आप बिल्कुल ठीक बोल रहे हैं, और ऐसी बातें, ऐसी गुस्ताखी होनी भी नहीं चाहिए। मगर आपने जो बयान दिया, क्या उससे परिस्थिति अच्छी हो गई थी या आपने भी आग में घी डाला?
नहीं, बराबर। सुनिए, आग में घी डाला कि पेट्रोल डाला कि केरोसिन डाला कि जो भी डाला, सिचुएशन सही था वो। अगर से हमारे वैसे लोग अगर से स्टेटमेंट नहीं देते थे तो मुसलमान दीवाना बन चुका था। तो उसके लिए आप सिचुएशन को कंट्रोल करने में जो गंगा जमुना तहजीब है और हिंदू मुसलमान सिख ईसाई जो मिल के रहता हमारे हैदराबाद शहर में, तेलंगाना में और हिंदुस्तान में, उसकी अखंडता को, उसकी यूनिटी को नहीं खराब करने के लिए हमारे वैसे स्टेटमेंट बहुत सही थे। और हम बोले थे कि सिंगल बात, हम हर एक इंसान को, हर एक मुसलमान को एक ही पैगाम दे रहे थे, कोई गरीब कमजोर को नुकसान आप नहीं करना। राजा सिंह को मारेंगे नहीं तो उसको पीडी में बुक कराएंगे। और ये बात में हम सक्सेसफुल हो गए। हम गवर्नमेंट पे प्रेशर डाले और आज तेलंगाना गवर्नमेंट और कमिश्नर ऑफ पुलिस, डीजीपी पुलिस, पीडी एक्ट में जो सही जगह थी, वो राजा सिंह जो नाली का कीड़ा था उसको सही जगह के ऊपर भेजा दिया।
राजनीति में है, आपने जो कहा वो कानून के दायरे में था
जी।
आपने जो कहा वो कानून के दायरे में था।
मेरे ऊपर केस बुक कर दो बोलो। अगर से आप समझते कि मेरे स्टेटमेंट से अमन शांति खराब हो गई, भाईचारा खराब हो गया, मेरे हिसाब से अगर से कुछ भी गलत हो गया तो मैं पूरी पुलिस को खुली छूट देता हूँ, मेरे ऊपर केस बुक करो। मगर सबसे खुशी की बात है, क्योंकि आज तेलंगाना जलने वाला था, हैदराबाद जलने वाला था, ये सुवर और ये शैतान को अंदर कर दिए। बात खत्म। अगर से मेरे पे केस बुक करना है तो बराबर बुक करिए, नो प्रॉब्लम।
अच्छा रहेगा। दूसरा सवाल मेरा दूसरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि आने वाले समय में, अभी इनको प्रिवेंटिव डिटेंशन में डाल दिया गया है, लेकिन अभी भी हैदराबाद में सिचुएशन टेंस है। बहुत सारे ऐसे लीडर्स हैं जो सर तन से जुदा, AIMIM के लीडर्स हैं जो इस तरह के कमेंट्स और स्लोगन्स दे रहे हैं। आपकी खुद की पार्टी ने आपके इस बयान के बाद आपसे एक डिस्टेंस बनाया, उसके बारे में क्या कहेंगे? फिरोज खान जी।
एक बात सुनिए, जब भी मैं ये स्टेटमेंट दिया, मेरी जाती पोजीशन के ऊपर दिया, कांग्रेस पार्टी के बिहाफ में नहीं दिया। नंबर 1 पॉइंट मैं आपको क्लियर कर देता हूं। और फिरोज खान सर तन से जुदा उसको कंडेम करता। फिरोज खान कभी भी भड़काऊ हुई चीजों के ऊपर सपोर्ट नहीं करा, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, जो भी अगर से वो बातचीत करे तो वो एमआईएम के कॉपरेटर्स करे, उसके अंदर वो जफर है, सोहेल है, नसरीन है, जो भी है वो असदुद्दीन की जिम्मेदारी। असदुद्दीन जो बोलता वो उसको करने दो। असदुद्दीन बोलता ना कि मैं सही हूं तो वो कॉपरेटरों को कमिश्नर ऑफ पुलिस को बोल के केस बुक कराओ बोलो उसको। तो जब आप उसको क्रेडिट देइए या आप उसको गलती में लाइए। रही बात फिरोज खान की, फिरोज खान कभी भी सर तन से जुदा को सपोर्ट नहीं करता और कभी भी फिरोज खान हिंदुस्तान की यूनिटी इंटेग्रिटी के लिए बात करता।
तालासानी साइकिरन, यू जस्ट हर्ड फिरोज खान एंड वाइल ही सेज कि उन्होंने जो भी कहा वो इसलिए कहा क्योंकि वो चाहते थे हैदराबाद में शांति बनी रहे। मगर ये कहना कि आपको कहीं ये बीजेपी एमएलए दिखे या जो पहले बीजेपी के एमएलए थे दिखे, उनको पकड़ के पीटिए, ये क्या कानूनी है? इज दिस लीगल एंड शुड यू हैव टेकन एनी एक्शन अगेंस्ट फिरोज खान? ही इज सेइंग दैट आई स्टैंड बाय दैट स्टेटमेंट एंड आई स्टिल डू। यू आर द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ द डे, विल यू टेक एक्शन?
Mr. Feroz Khan is also a good friend of mine. So in the heat of the moment, I think he might have slipped that.
No,
saying
he's
that,
not in the heat of the moment.
No,
I had a very balanced conversation with the gentleman right
he
now.
has corrected just now, saying that he had 2 demands. One is PD Act. Otherwise,
He did
he'll
not
go for the
correct. He did
next
not
step.
correct. He argumented.
If
Don't
he-
defend himself.
If he went for the next step, definitely he would have been under the jurisdiction and he would have been taken action on him. Definitely, there is no differentiation in Telangana government.
Raja Singh ने एक बयान दिया था. Raja Singh had given a
So,
statement and he is rightly booked for that statement. There's a statement that is coming from the Congress leader, may not be of the same gravity, but is a statement which is provoking violence. Why are you not taking action?
against Feroz Khan.
Yes, or anybody who says इसको मारो, उसको मारो, इसको पकड़ लो, उसको पकड़ लो. Why are you not taking action?
नहीं, जो भी बोलेगा किसी को भी नहीं छोड़ेंगे, ऐसा नहीं चलता है।
लेकिन फिरोज भाई तो बोल रहे हैं ना, अभी सामने बोल रहे हैं।
एक डिमांड था, पीडी एक्ट बुक करो, इज सक्सेसफुल देयर। इफ पीडी एक्ट कुछ भी नहीं होता था तो आई वुड हैव गॉन फॉर द सेकंड स्टेप, देन एक्शन वुड बी टेकन ऑन हिम डेफिनेटली।
So your government can actually be blackmailed. That if there is no proper action that is taken, they will hit the streets, they will take the entire city to hostage with their protest. What are you saying? I mean, at least hear your arguments, sir.
Madam, you have a very wrong perception of how law and order works in Hyderabad.
Please correct my perception. We'll be more than happy to be corrected. Go ahead.
Not even came up. It has been 8 years. Anything of that sort came up. It is a huge, bigger plan conspiracy which we have to think about and talk about, because the Telangana has been targeted by BJP and especially Hyderabad. This is the bigger picture of it. Maybe I think even Raja Singh can also be a scapegoat for a bigger plan. That is how it looks as of now, because they have all of a sudden, all the Prime Minister of India comes to Telangana, the Home Minister of India comes to Telangana, but they do not talk about the development, what they have done in 8 years.
I have asked you a question repeatedly. Feroz Khan is with us on the broadcast and he very cool-headedly says, I had a very cool-headed conversation with him very purposely because I did not want this debate to heat up in that manner and say it happened in the heat of the moment. He's saying he stands by that statement that if you spot Raja Singh anywhere, go and slap him, go and hurt him and assault him. Is that legal?
I think he said that I have demanded 2 things. One is that we demand PD Act to be put on Raja Singh. If not, we were going to physically attack him. I think the first thing they have achieved it, so they have not gone for the second step. If Mr. Feroz Khan has gone for the second step,
I am appalled the manner in which you are defending that indefensible argument. It does not befit the elected government of the day that you are blackmailed by a certain political threat that has been given to you.
No, madam, we are not blackmailed by any political threat. We are fair enough for everybody, and even somebody from TRS party makes a derogatory statement, they will also be taken under action. No party in such is accepted to tarnish or damage the image of Hyderabad. We 100% stand by what we are saying. Anybody, let it be any party, whoever has done anything wrong towards this city and the society, they will be taken action on. Nobody will be spared. Feroz
Khan is with us for a very limited time. So Feroz Khan, I'm going to ask you one more question before you go. आपसे एक सवाल और लेना चाहूंगी इसके पहले कि आप जाएं. हैदराबाद में इस समय सिचुएशन बहुत संवेदनशील है. जिम्मेदारी हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी की है कि वो कहीं ना कहीं लॉ एंड ऑर्डर मैनेज करके रहे. मैं ये आर्ग्यू करती हूँ एक जिम्मेदार नागरिक होने के की हैसियत से, सिर्फ पत्रकार होने की हैसियत से नहीं, कि जब आप इस तरीके के बयान देते हैं कि इसको पकड़ के मारिए और उसको पकड़ के मारिए, आप गुंडागर्दी कर रहे हैं, आप नेतागिरी नहीं कर रहे हैं. तो आप गुंडागर्दी कर रहे थे या नेतागिरी कर रहे थे? समझो
हैदराबाद की सुनिए आपकी भाषा में, क्योंकि आपको सेलेक्टिव हियरिंग है, सेलेक्टिव अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, सेलेक्टिव आप बात करते, आपको हैदराबाद की ग्राउंड रियलिटी नहीं मालूम.
बताइए.
ये ये एक हैदराबाद एक ऐसी जगह है जो हिंदू मुसलमान के झगड़े बहुत होते थे, मगर जब से तेलंगाना आए ये झगड़े खत्म हो गए और अमन शांति में है। हिंदू मुसलमान सिख ईसाई सब मिलके है, तो इसको थमाने के लिए हमारा ये स्टेटमेंट बहुत ज़रूरी था और इसके लिए आवाम थम गई थी। और आज जो पीडी एक्ट हो गया उसके बाद बात खत्म। कल जुम्मे की नमाज है, फ्राइडे की नमाज है, नमाज से पहले हमारा स्टेटमेंट जाएगा, अमन शांति रहेंगी, जश्न का माहौल रहेगा, सुकून रहेगा, एक ईद का माहौल रहेगा। तो अब तेलंगाना हैदराबाद में एक पेटी केस नहीं होगा, एक नारा कोई जुमला बयान नहीं कर सकेगा, इसकी गारंटी फिरोज खान दे रहा हूं।
इसी विश्वास के साथ आप कह सकते हैं कि हैदराबाद में अब कोई सर तन से जुदा नहीं चिल्लाएगा?
एक भी जने चिल्लाएगा तो आप फिरोज खान को केस में बुक कर दो।
नहीं, अगर हुआ तो मैं आपसे ब्रॉडकास्ट पे सवाल जरूर पूछूंगी। एक सवाल मैंने आपसे पूछा था, आपने जवाब नहीं दिया, फिर से पूछती हूं। आपने गुंडागर्दी करी या नेतागिरी की? आपके हिसाब से आपने क्या किया?
दोनों करी, मैं नेतागिरी भी करी, गुंडागर्दी भी करी, क्योंकि ये शैतानों को सुधारने के लिए कभी कभार सुभाष चंद्र बोस बनना पड़ता, हर टाइम गांधी से काम नहीं होता।
चलिए फिरोज जी, आपकी बात मैंने आज बड़े इत्मीनान से सुनी, क्योंकि चीखने चिल्लाने से तो यहाँ पे जो रियलिटी है वो बदलेगी नहीं। आई एम गोइंग बैक टू माय अदर गेस्ट रतन शारदा, कलीमुल हफीज एंड पीनी रूप रेड्डी, हु कंटिन्यू टू बी विद अस ऑन द ब्रॉडकास्ट। रतन शारदा जी, you heard the arguments from the AIMIM, you heard the arguments from the Congress leader, you also heard the ruling government of the day. Is there complicity?
Well, I am appalled the way the arguments are going. I have to take so many points that please allow me some patience.
Sure,
give me some patience. First of all, TRS. It says हम कानून व्यवस्था बना के रखेंगे. We take care of. We will take action. We will do everything. On the very first day, this is third day, one Congress MLA Rashid Khan comes on camera inside TV police station and threatens the police with dire consequences if the person is not arrested, with arson, looting, and all that. He has not been arrested yet. You have already given the name of AIMM who have not been arrested. And here is the Congress person is boasting about it. TRS person, another panel said, we have a lookout notice against Rashid Khan. My dear friends, Rashid Khan was attending DV debates right under their own nose on the same windows. So what kind of practice is this? AIMM says that we don't support all this, but their chief gets the bail for 90 people on the same day. And he says that we don't take any action. As far as this action of हमको इतना अपमान किया, फलाना किया, Hindus have no emotions. When the same people, AM people on the TV debates many times insulted Gyan Vapi, did we say Sattar Sante Juda? And before Nupur episode, Kamlesh Tiwari was beheaded. Before that, Kishan Bharwada was read. This is before Nupur Sharma. And since the talk of violence, I'll remind them that AIMM has a history of killing innocent people in Hyderabad state during 1946-47 for the only crime that they were Hindus. And their chief, Qasim Rizvi, ran away to Pakistan, and this Owaisi's grandfather took over this particular party. Have they ever apologized for the genocide of Hindus in Andhra? They have not, because they like violence. The way these people from both Congress and this Owaisi are talking, and since they are talking of history, हमारे भगवान का इज्जत कर दिया, so हमारे भगवान की इज्जत है भाई साहब, खाली आपकी नहीं है. और what you rightly said is pure blackmail.
आऊंगी मैं, कलीमुल साहब आपके पास भी आऊंगी, पूरा समय
आज बहुत बोलिए, बहुत धमकी दे दिए, चुप करिए आप. He talks about blackmail. You rightly said this is pure blackmail, that we will take action, we don't take action. So law and order goes for a toss, constitution goes for a toss, and since these people are saying that, I am saying they just need a spark, they need any excuse to come on the roads, create a scare in the society, create a violent atmosphere, whether it's Europe, whether it's Africa, whether it's America or UK, that's their role. Even in India. Now tell me, was this Khalifa anything to do with Indians? But in Kerala, for sake of Khalifa, 11,000 Hindus were killed. In Kashmir, Hazrat Bal, hair goes missing. Who is affected? Hindus are killed. Hindu runs riot. Al-Aqsa gets fire in Jerusalem. They run riot in India. Rohingya come to India. They then riot in India.
The reason I had a very cool-headed exchange with the likes of Feroz Khan and also the TRS representative on our show, Mr. Talasani Saikiran, and Mr. Kaleemul Hafiz, is also to look at it many ways, the entire hypocrisy of the argument, because you have the ruling government of the day, Talasani ji. You have the ruling government of the day which is saying that had the Preventive Detention Act not been imposed, there would have been violence on the streets And in some way, the Congress leader, what he said in a heat of the moment. These are signs of a weak government, not the signs of a strong government which is standing for the rule of law.
My single question to all of them.
Come what may, whichever political party it would have been. Yes, sir. The government should have imposed the rule of law irrespective of political affiliations. Go ahead, Ratan Shardaji. Then I will bring in the TRS leader.
Will they criminalize and ban the words Sartan se juda and hateful words like kafir? That is the first step they have to take.
Okay, Talasani ji, a reaction from you. Then I will also take in a word from Kalimul Hafiz.
Yeah, so during the course of actions to be taken, the PD Act was also one of it, and it is not the main source why the allegations would be stopping. It is one part of it. So there will be a course procedure. What have to be done by the police of Telangana and especially Hyderabad to calm down.
My dear friend Rashid Khan was here on TV studios with you. You say there is a lookout notice.
रतन जी, इनको बात पूरी करने दीजिए. रतन जी, प्लीज मेरी विनती आपसे. आप बात करिए.
राशिद खान पे लुकआउट नोटिस कैसे निकालते हैं?
राशिद खान पे लुकआउट नोटिस आपने कैसे निकाला, उसका भी जवाब दे दीजिए. तालासानी जी, उसका भी जवाब दीजिए. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I am a 35-year-old who's trying to understand the welfare and development of the country. I am not going into any communal bifurcation and want to waste my time discussing about what happened.
All this Hyderabad of Chandrababu Naidu.
I also want to bring in P. Nirup Reddy ji. Reddy ji, you've been waiting very patiently on the broadcast, and as a lawyer, you must have heard a lot of arguments today from the ruling government and the opposition parties. We had a leader from the Congress party who openly said, "मैं गुंडागर्दी कर रहा था और नेतागिरी भी कर रहा था." That is how it works. Does it appall you as a student of law?
I mean, see this, what I've been listening since the beginning of the debate. It's more of politics than of law and order. It's all, I mean, from the beginning. I mean, the stands taken, even what Mr. Ratan Sharda was saying, that's all history. I mean, what he's saying was true. What happened in 40s, 50s, but what Mr. Sai Kiran was saying, I mean, for quite some time we have not had any kind of communal kind of a riots in the city. See, I practiced there before I shifted to Delhi, and it used to be difficult to, in a year, at least for 2-3 months, we couldn't go to court because the court is in the old city and there would be curfew. So, what Mr. Sai Kiran is saying is a fact that for quite some time, that's simply because there's a good political relationship between the MIM and the TRS party.
Yeah.
So it's a political equation which made for it. And now, the thing is, whether it is Nupur Sharma or whether it looks so funny for people who know history of Hyderabad. In fact, when one of the lawyers, he was a senior advocate, his father was asked to set up, his father was a printing, he's a printing technology. When he set up the first printing press in Hyderabad for the Nizam, he said, which should be the first book which should be published? He said, there's no doubt about it. It should be the Quran. Then he said, there's no Quran in English. Then they called an Englishman.
Let me
finish.
Yes.
You see, a lot of talk has been going on the history of the city. So I'm just trying to recollect. Now, an Englishman was called to translate the Quran in Hyderabad so that the printing press could publish it. I'm telling you, any judgment you take out of the Supreme Court, if there is a reference to a translated copy of the Quran, it is a Quran which is published in Hyderabad by a printing press.
Sir, a legal question that you should answer, and then I have to give 1 minute to Mr. Kalimul Hafiz as well. Was it proportionate to put the Preventive Detention Act against Raja Singh? Was it the right step in law?
It depends on the state. Law and order is a state subject. According to the exigencies of the situation, they will, whatever law is available, they will impose. And if need be,
Kalimul Hafiz sahab,
what you pointed out, this kind of somebody has incited violence. Somebody else again is beating violence with violence. They are not being dealt with a stern hand, and that may call for interference of central forces.
And it should call, no state government should be blackmailed by threats of violence. That's not a strong state government which is functioning. कलीमुल हफीज साहब, बहुत सारी बातें आपकी पार्टी के बारे में कही गई. एक सवाल था जो मैंने आपसे शुरुआत में पूछा था, फिर से पूछती हूँ. आपकी पार्टी के कुछ कॉर्पोरेटर्स हैं, उनने बहुत गलत नारे लगाए हैं. ऐसे नारे जो ओवैसी साहब ने भी कहा है कि गलत हैं, लेकिन आपकी पार्टी ने कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया. इसका जवाब
देखिए, अभी शारदा साहब ने कहा कि साहब बड़ी मोरालिटी की बात कर रहे थे. ये वो आरएसएस है जिसने राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी को गोली मारी थी.
आपको केस हो जाएगा,
ये अभी भी
आपके ऊपर डिफेमेशन का केस हो सकता है. आप झूठ बोल रहे हैं. Ask him to stop the falsehood. RS has not been implicated in any Gandhi murder case.
रतन जी, अगर आपको इनके खिलाफ कोई एक्शन लेना है आप ले सकते हैं. The channel does not subscribe to any kind of news. The channel does not subscribe to any kind of
How
such
can
news.
he make a wrong statement? How can he make a false statement?
कमीशन मैंने
He
बनाया
has
था.
no right to make a false statement
कमीशन
on
एमआईएम ने
national
बनाया
TV.
था.
अच्छा, आगे बढ़ते हैं. कलीमुल साहब, अपनी बात बोलिए. एक सवाल मैंने आपसे पूछा था, उसके बारे में बात करते हैं. इतिहास में जाएंगे तो कोई निष्कर्ष नहीं निकलेगा.
इन्होंने एमआईएम की तारीख बताई थी ना, मैं इनकी तारीख बता रहा हूँ. इनकी तारीख
सही बताइए ना.
इनके हाथ
तारीख
रंगे
सही
हुए.
बताइए, गलत मत बताइए.
रिसेंटली इन्होंने
गलत हम सहन नहीं
कपूर
करेंगे.
कमीशन मेरे घर में नहीं बना था. कपूर कमीशन
उसमें
गवर्नमेंट
कहीं
ऑफ
RSS
इंडिया
का नाम नहीं है.
बाकायदा ये प्रूफ किया
कोई RSS का नाम नहीं था.
इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, लेकिन सबूत न मिलने की वजह से उस पर सजा नहीं हुई. उस पर बैन भी लगाता RSS पे. अब आइए आगे की.
One thing is abundantly clear that the action that the state government has taken against the BJP MLA Raja
राहुल
Singh
गांधी
under
माफी मांग रहे हैं.
Preventive Detention Act may be proportionate or disproportionate, but a similar action or even a lesser action has not been taken against the Congress leaders who were there on the broadcast, openly saying that they issued threats against Raja Singh and many others. They said that they indulged into Gundaism, but the state government has not done anything to that effect. More importantly, there are various local leaders of the AIMIM who were seen shouting slogans of Sartan Se Juda. No action has been taken against them. The law cannot be selectively applied. It must be applied to all sides equally. With that, it's a wrap on this debate, but there's something more important that happened at the Supreme Court today, and this is about the Pegasus Snoopgate saga.
कहा गया था उनके ऑफिशियल प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में कि ये देशद्रोह का मामला है, राजद्रोह का मामला है. क्या राहुल गांधी कांग्रेस पार्टी माफी मांगेगी?
Well, here's what happened at the Supreme Court. The Pegasus Snoopgate saga has taken a new turn. The Supreme Court appointed panel that was given the task to look into the evidence submitted, they have put forward their report before the Apex Court bench led by Chief Justice of India. The top court said that there was a malware found only in 5 out of the 29 phones that were examined. But it could not be conclusively said that whether it was Pegasus or not. The court also briefly commented that the union government did not cooperate with the expert committee. The Pegasus saga traces its origin to a report by the International Consortium of Journalists that reported how the Israeli spyware, exclusively sold to vetted governments, was used on individuals here in India. The Supreme Court was looking into the fact whether there is evidence to substantiate that allegation. The Congress party had launched an all-out attack on the BJP and accused them of illegal snooping. Now, let's also talk about what happened in the court, some few important pointers from the hearing, because this is a big report that was submitted, and in that report, only few portions are out that were read in the court. 29 mobile phones were examined for the Pegasus spyware, but out of these 29, only 5 were found to have some kind of malware. It could not be confirmed whether it was Pegasus or not. There was a technical committee that was appointed by the Supreme Court. It doesn't mean it's the malware of Pegasus. That could not be conclusively established. Further, in the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of India said that the government hasn't cooperated with the committee. This was a stand, this was an observation that even earlier the Supreme Court had said that the central government was not very forthcoming. Government hasn't cooperated. Government adopted the same stand that it had taken before the Supreme Court. Now, this is what transpired at the court. This is a voluminous report. In this report, there are details of chats and phone records and many other things that many people who submitted their phones said that it should not actually be put out in the public domain. Now, some portions of the report are expected to be made public eventually, as and when the Supreme Court decides. But has it really settled the debate of the Pegasus Snoopgate saga? Joining us on the broadcast is Shehzad Poonawala of the BJP, the national spokesperson. Gurdeep Singh Sapal of the Congress party is also joining us on the broadcast. We also have Mr. N.S. Napinai, the advocate of the Supreme Court, Ms. N.S. Napinai, the advocate of the Supreme Court of India and the founder of Cyber Saathi Foundation, joining us on the broadcast. Thank you everyone for joining us on the show. Gurdeep Singh ji, first coming to you. What the Supreme Court said today, it raises serious questions on whether there was a Snoopgate at all that happened or not. Because conclusively, in all the mobile phones that were submitted and eventually examined, the spyware was not conclusively found. Would you agree with that assessment?
Well, today is a very sad day for India. I think you did not notice the operational part of Supreme Court's observation, which you read out a little while before, that the government of India did not cooperate with the inquiry. Anybody who's watching India today would have noticed that for the first time, there's a breakdown. There's a breakdown in the system of where the Supreme Court is complaining that its committee was not cooperated by government of India. Can we imagine a situation in country today that any individual, any institution, or for that matter, any state government says that we will not cooperate with Supreme Court and everything will be fine? Can we imagine such a situation? Today, the government of India, Modi government, refused to cooperate with the committee of Supreme Court. And that is why Supreme Court said we could not conclusively conclude. The committee said it could not conclude whether the Pegasus malware was Pegasus or not, because government did not allow access to the servers of Pegasus. How is a committee supposed to confirm whether it was Pegasus or not? It's not a normal spyware. It's a military grade spyware. Military grade. It is categorized in Israel as a cyber weapon. Do we expect, without cooperation of government, without giving access to the servers of Pegasus, without government helping the committee to talk to the Pegasus company, is it possible to determine that Pegasus was there or not? It's a very, very sad day. Will Shehzad Poonawala tell me, if any state government had refused to cooperate with the Supreme Court of India, what would have been the stand of BJP today?
All right. Shehzad, coming to you. The key argument and the premise of the Congress party is that because the union government did not cooperate, you did not cooperate with the union government. The union government did not cooperate with the Supreme Court appointed panel, and that is perhaps the reason that there is no culpability that has been established. Without your cooperation, no amount of evidence could have come forward, and you evaded due process.
So before I unpack that selective reading and defective thinking of the Congress, let me contextualize this discussion. We are talking to a party and its representative who, by the way, authorized 9,000 phones and 500 emails to be intercepted every month while they were in power in the UPA, imposed the emergency, silenced freedom of speech, freedom of privacy, and all kinds of right to life under Indira Gandhi. That is the party that we are talking to. Now, in Parliament, both Ashwini Vaishnavji and the Defence Ministry categorically clarified every answer and question that was raised about Pegasus, including the fact that the Government of India has nothing to do with NSO, the parent company. It's all there, I can show you, but it's a waste of time to open up these documents right now. But twice it was clarified in Parliament. Yet, Rahul Gandhi, and I have a statement and I can make you hear it, went ahead and said in a speech and held Parliament hostage and cost us 225 crores for that particular session, that every youth's phone had been infected with Pegasus by Modi. And then he went on to label the entire democracy of India as dead. This is what they did. Now, what has come out from the Supreme Court? First of all, Anusha, you've spent your entire journalism career covering courts. Any observation cannot be inherently antithetical or contradictory to the final judgment. That you will agree? If this so-called observation says that we have not assisted the technical committee, then the final finding of the court can't be that there is no Pegasus in those 29 phones. Then the final finding would have been that there is perhaps Pegasus, but these people have not allowed us to check. So the final finding of the Supreme Court that is uncontroverted is that 29 phones were checked, there is no Pegasus, 5 phones have malware, and how you can get malware, I don't want to get into that. Maybe these petitioners can only answer how their phone have these malware. But let me answer to this. 10 seconds. I think it's a discussion, everyone can get this. Now let us see the context of this particular so-called observation. The context is that, first of all, there is assisting a technical committee which was appointed by the Supreme Court, which was overseen by Justice Ravindran. All of these people are not some Johnnies on the street. They know what is happening. If there was such non-compliance or non-assistance or non-cooperation, then they would have said it that time. They would have told to the Supreme Court, look, the government of India is behaving this way. No. There is compliance so that the 29 phones can be checked. Okay. That compliance took place. Now, assistance in the issues of national security. To the extent that the committee could be assisted, was assisted. But there was compliance that you can't deny, and there is a final finding, and therefore the final finding can't be overruled by a so-called observation.
You're right that any observation a single line observation cannot be the ratio decidendi of an order. That's your argument.
And it can't go beyond the judgment.
One second. And it's not the ratio of a judgment. It's not the soul of the judgment. Point taken. But the argument which is being made here is that you stonewalled information. At no point in the Supreme Court, the government made a categoric statement that whether did it buy Pegasus or did not buy Pegasus. There were various arguments that were made by the Solicitor General. National security argument was made in the court that this pertains to national security. We cannot, divulge everything here. But was a categoric statement made in the court that did the government buy Pegasus or it did not?
Okay, now let me answer both these. First of all, for you, and especially somebody like you who's covered courts, to say that the implication of this so-called observation is that the government stonewalled the investigation of the technical committee is to leap 10,000 steps ahead, which you know is not the right thing to do, because there is no stonewalling. Had there been stonewalling, I am sure that the Right Honourable Justice Ravindran would have put his foot down, the technical committee would have put its foot down and gone and reported to the Supreme Court. So there was no stonewalling. I am again explaining the difference between assistance and compliance. We have complied. Maybe the assistance that they imagine must not come. That is their observation, but that has not contradicted the finding. But let me come to the second point.
It's only fair that I ask you, did the government have something to hide? That's what the Congress party is saying.
Now the second point is that, one second.
गुरदीप जी, आऊंगी आपके पास. आपको पूरा समय दूंगी.
Emergency and 1984.
एक वकील भी हमारे साथ पैनल पे, उनको भी पूरा समय दूंगी. शहजाद 30 seconds to you and then I'll go.
Emergency and 1984 should not get so eager about this. Now let me come to the point that you are saying. As far as whether we purchased Pegasus or we didn't, that answer has been specifically answered in Parliament. But it's like a question like you asking me, Shahzad, have you stopped beating your wife? I can't say yes, I can't say no. I mean, don't take this in that way. But how can I say that I've stopped beating my wife when I don't have a wife and I don't beat my wife? One second. The analogy is absolutely correct. It's been used by Abhishek Singhvi before. The analogy is that you are making me answer a hypothetical question to which there exists no answer. So I am not going to answer that question.
All right, I want to bring in the lawyer on the panel. NS Napinai. Was it actually... Gurdeep ji, I'll come to you. I'll give you the last word. I want to bring in a lawyer to the discussion as well. The lady has been waiting with much patience.
But he can't get away with wrong statements.
Are Baba, I will not let him get away.
First,
or you get away.
answer for why you undermine India's democratic institutions.
I am not going to the emergency debate. NS Napinai, was it at all possible for the Supreme Court or any technical committee to actually look into the phones and figure out whether Pegasus spyware was used or not? Technically, what were the challenges, and could the committee have got something more to establish that? Or perhaps it was not possible? Or the conclusion is that Pegasus spyware was not used, as the BJP argues?
Well, whenever there is a technical issue that is involved, that's when the Supreme Court usually palms it off or moves it to a committee. And clearly here, the committee's remit was for looking into the technical aspects. As far as I can't answer to Pegasus, but in general, when you're talking about malware, any software has a signature. And it is through that we identify, block, or even protect against identified viruses, etc., or malware. So that's how your antivirus effectively works. So I'm not a technology specialist. I'm a legal specialist, cyber lawyer, and specializing in the cyber laws aspect. But I'm just giving a very simplistic example in terms of the technical issues. So to the extent that the technical committee may have and would have sought for this signature to verify whether Pegasus was in the devices that were checked, that is the basis on which you decide whether the particular malware is there in a device or not. And as was logically pointed out, if it is said that it is not there very specifically in 29 devices, there are two options there. One is that those 29 devices had no malware, or that there was malware which was identified as not Pegasus. It has to be looked at as both.
Yeah, the latter is what
whatever limited, we don't have a copy of the report on hand. So we are really hypothesizing completely here, assuming without going into the factual aspects that 29 did not have anything and 5 had malware. It appears that even with respect to those 5, there does not seem to be a connect. And the assumption then will be that the signature would have been verified.
All right, Gurdeep
that is so.
Gurdeep ji, I'm coming to you.
So, if that is so, and then the committee has come to this conclusion that the as far as the device is verified, there was no, trace of Pegasus. Then we'll have to move forward to say that, one, there are two aspects to it, because you asked this question of the earlier speaker with respect to the government and its purchase. In fact, I've addressed it in my article also on this. There are two aspects to it. One aspect is about purchase and the other aspect is about deployment.
Exactly.
So the second one would stand answered in terms of deployment. And
that's an expert talking. Gurdeep Singh ji, that's an expert talking. That if out of the... Yes, so I'll give you all the time to respond. But let me frame my question. I request not to go into the history, and that is a redundant debate as of now. I want you to answer that out of the 29 phones, 5 had some kind of malware. The signature of Pegasus was not found. That is also the observation of the Supreme Court. The official report will be out in some time, and it will be a redacted report. So we will not know what exactly was there in the entire report. It's a sealed envelope. But is it time for the Congress party to concede that nothing of this sort really happened and much hullabaloo about nothing? That's what the BJP is saying.
I'll answer to your question, but first 3 questions.
Yeah.
With due regards to Ms. Napanai, she is not a IT expert. She's a legal expert.
She said
I
that,
don't think your viewers have not heard about dark web. What malware she is talking about is the normal malware, which are amateur malwares. Here we are talking of dark web and cyber grade softwares. They do not carry signatures. It is very easy to hide those signatures. Very easy. I think any class 12 student knows this today because there's so much awareness about it. So this is a dark web weapon grade software. You cannot expect the signatures to be there without accessing the servers, which cannot be accessed without the support of government. Number 2, Shehzad Poonawala said it is only an observation of the Supreme Court. Sorry, Mr. Shehzad, it is not an observation by Supreme Court. It is a comment by the committee. It is comment by the Ravindran committee, which has complained in his report that the government did not cooperate with the committee. It is not an observation. And third thing, here also you said it was a false claim that government said it in the parliament that it has nothing to do with NSO. Government never said it. What Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav said, that we have set procedures, and he said that NSO has rubbished the claim. And please let it be known to the viewers that after this statement was made, NSO did make a categorical statement,
I'm short
and
of time.
the officers of NSO were sacked after that, precisely because NSO was illegally used. If you go to Google, if you Google it, you'll find all the history of NSO after this entire expose came.
Let me come up with one.
Last
point and then last point.
No, your
10 seconds, sir. 10 seconds.
Congress party stands by its accusation that government is hiding behind the national security excuse.
And what is
one
at a time? Please, one at a time. There's very limited time on this debate, unfortunately. Please.
Shehzad, go ahead, please.
First of all, there's a statement by Ashwini Vaishnav and there's a statement by MOS Defense. And I was quoting the MOS Defense statement. It's been published. First of all, please, Anusha, your channel has to step in and allow one person to speak at one time.
Go ahead, Shehzad.
These are the weapons grade lies that are perpetrated by the Congress party. By the way, if Rahul Gandhi's phone still has that Pegasus software, the technical committee had asked for everyone to submit their phone. You should have given your phone also, and perhaps you could have discussed. No, now let me complete. Anusha, this is not fair.
Go ahead, Shehzad.
Thirdly,
go ahead, make your point.
The committee and the court were very entitled to say inconclusive finding in the 29 phones. They don't go and say that. They say no Pegasus found. There's a huge world of difference, and I take whatever. Please, can I not be interrupted in every statement?
Let him finish his point. I'll give you 30
I have the
seconds
courtesy
to
listen to him.
Let's have a civil debate. My
in the interest of the viewers, I'm going to make these points again. Okay. First of all, the MOS Defense has categorically said we have nothing to do with NSO. He's quoting Ashwini Vaishnav's statement. Fact wrong. Secondly, I am not going to believe Rahul Gandhi and Gurdeep Sappal. They last time quoted the Supreme Court on Rafale. They had to go and apologize to the Supreme Court. So they and their weapons grade lies is well known to the people. Thirdly, the courts could have said inconclusive because this does not leave a trail. This is not possible for us. The government is so bad they don't cooperate. No, they say 29 phones, no Pegasus found. Full stop. That means it's a conclusive finding, right? So there's no doubt in any way. And fourthly and finally, please, Gurdeep Sappal ji, stoopgate chhodiye. Stop stooping to the level of abusing democracy.
Gurdeep ji, I have 30 seconds literally. Please respond. 20 seconds to you and then I have to wrap up the debate.
Yes. Number one, MOS Defense said his ministry did not buy Pegasus.
Yes.
Government did not say that none of the departments of government bought
what do you expect? The animal husbandry department was going to buy it?
NSA.
I mean, what logic are you speaking? What is he saying? He served in government. He served with Hamid Ansari.
Gurdeep, please go ahead.
No, animal husbandry would purchase it.
I allowed you to speak. Now
Gurdeep ji, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Gurdeep. You have to prove your Rahul Gandhi spokesperson. Please.
Gurdeep ji, please go ahead. Nothing personal, Shahzad.
Number two. MOS Defense never said that none of the government departments bought it. He said my department did not buy it. Why can't government say none of its department bought it?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm short of time, but Shehzad Poonawala, Gurdeep Singh and Ms. N.S. Napinai, thank you all for joining us on the broadcast. Well, the Supreme Court is of a clear view. There are, I think, 2 to 3 points that the court made today. 29 phones examined. Pegasus in none of the phones was conclusively found. The union government did not cooperate to the extent that the committee would have wanted. As the BJP spokesperson said that they complied, but the cooperation to the extent the committee would have liked did not come from that. We will never have a conclusive answer to this entire political debate between the Congress and the BJP. We're slipping into a very short break, but coming up after the break, this is a big twist in the death of TikTok star and BJP Haryana leader Shonali Phogat.